Yashodanandana Jaya Raja Janaranjana Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Raja Janaranjana Jamuna Tiravana Jaya Punjabi Hari Jaya Punjabi Hari Jamuna Tiravana Jaya Punjabi Hari Jaya Punjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Punjabi Hari Jaya Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Punjabi Hari Gopi Gandhava Jaya Girivaradari Jaya Girivaradari Gopi Gandhava Jaya Girivaradari Jaya Girivaradari Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Raja Janaranjana Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Raja Janaranjana Jamuna Tiravana Chari Jaya Punjabi Hari Jaya Punjabi Hari Jamuna Tiravana Chari Jaya Punjabi Hari Jaya Jaya Punjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Punjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Punjabi Hari Jai Shri Shri Radha Madhava Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Damodar Ki Jai Jai Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Riva Jakacharya Stottar Sat Shri Srimad Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Om Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Riva Jakacharya Stottar Sat Shri Srimad Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Nitai Gaura Premanandi Haribo Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Devamita Swami Tamare Jai Purvaraksham Jai Bhakta Charanvinata Parakata Pikarunyam Yasya Sarvejte Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Tamare Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Padaya Vishesa Shinivari Pasta Tyadesha Tarine Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Today we're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam. I think it's verse 10 or 11. 5th Canto, Chapter 18, text number 11. Just give me a moment to open up the digital book here. Fifth Canto, prayers offered to the Lord by the residents of Jambudvipa. Text number 11. Yat sangalabdham nijavirya vaibhavam tirtam muhu samsprishatham himanasam haratyajonta shutibirgaton gajam kovaino seveta mukunda vikramam yat sangalabdham nijavirya vaibhavam tirtam muhu samsprishatham himanasam Haratyajonta Shutibirgatongajam Kovaina Seveta Mukunda Vikramam Yat Sangalabdam Nijavirya Vaibhavam Tirtam Mohu Samsprishatam Himanasam Haratyajonta Shutibirgatongajam Kovaina Seveta Mukunda Vikramam. Word for word translation says, Yet of whom the devotees, Sangalabdham, achieved by the association, Nijavirya Vaibhavam, whose influence is uncommon. Tirtam, holy places like the Ganges. Muhu, repeatedly. Samsprishatam, of those touching. He, certainly. Manasam, the dirty things in the mind. Harati, vanquishes. Ajaha, the supreme unborn one. Anta, in the core of the heart. Shruti, by the ears. Gataha, entered. Angajam, dirty things or infections of the body. Kaha, who, by, indeed. Na, not. Seveta, would serve. Mukunda Vikramam, the glorious activities of Mukunda, the Supreme Personality of God. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace. Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Prabhupada ki jai. By associating with persons for whom the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Mukunda, is the all in all, one can hear of his powerful activities and soon come to understand them. The activities of Mukunda are so potent that simply by hearing of them, one immediately associates with the Lord. For a person who constantly and very eagerly hears narrations of the Lord's powerful activities, the absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, in the form of sound, vibrations, enters within his heart and cleanses it of all contamination. On the other hand, although bathing in the Ganges diminishes bodily contaminations and infections, this process and the process of visiting holy places can cleanse the heart only after a long time. Therefore, who is the sane man who will not associate with devotees to quickly perfect his life? Wow. Purport. Bathing in the Ganges can certainly cure one of many infectious diseases, but it cannot cleanse one's materially attached mind, which creates all kinds of contaminations in material existence. However, one who directly associates with the Supreme Lord by hearing of his activities cleanses the dirt from his mind and very soon comes to Krishna consciousness. Sutta Goswami confirms this in Srimad Bhagavatam. Srinvatam svakata Krishna punyashravana kirtana hridyantasto bhadrani vidunoti surhit satam. The Supreme Lord within everyone's heart becomes very pleased when a person hears narrations of his activities, and he personally cleanses the dirt from the mind of the listener. Hridyantasto padrani vidunoti. He washes off all dirt from the mind. Material existence is caused by dirty things within the mind. Wow. Material existence is caused by dirty things within the mind. If one can cleanse his mind, he immediately comes to his original position of Krishna consciousness. Thus, his life becomes successful. Therefore, all the great saints in the devotional line very strongly recommend the process of hearing. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu introduced the congregational chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra to give everyone a chance to hear Krishna's holy name. Everyone. That's what it says here. Prabhupada said, everyone a chance to hear Krishna's holy name. For simply by hearing Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, one becomes purified. Chaitya Dharpana Marjana. Therefore, our Krishna consciousness movement is chiefly engaged in chanting the Hare Krishna mantra all over the world. Chiefly engaged. After one's mind becomes cleansed by chanting Hare Krishna, one gradually comes to the platform of Krishna consciousness and then reads books like Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and the Nectar of Devotion. In this way, one becomes more and more purified of material contamination, as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam. This is the next verse, actually, that Sutta Goswami spoke, Shinvatam Svakata Krishna. Then the next one is, Nashta Prayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. By regularly hearing the Bhagavatam and rendering service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is practically destroyed, and loving service unto the glorious Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. In this way, simply by hearing of the powerful activities of the Lord, the devotee's heart becomes almost completely cleansed of material contamination. And thus his original position as an eternal servant, who is part and parcel of the Lord, becomes manifest. While the devotee engages in devotional service, the passionate and ignorant modes of material nature are gradually vanquished. And then he acts only in the mode of goodness. At that time, he becomes happy and gradually advances in Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada is referring to the next verses spoken by Sutta Goswami. Tada rajastamo bhava kamalobadayosche chita itairina vidam stitam sattve prasidati. All the great acharyas strongly recommend that people be given a chance to hear about the Supreme Lord. Give them a chance. Then success is assured. The more we cleanse the dirt of material attachment from our hearts, the more we will be attracted by Krishna's name, form, qualities, paraphernalia, and activities. This is the sum and substance of the Krishna consciousness movement. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Karamahyam Darati Swaparantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakambalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Shcha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Gunatan Vitam Tam Sujivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Prijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Param Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitam Scha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutta Devi Anamami Hari Priye Vanchakabatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. What an incredible verse and purport. Awesome. Just so awesome. Everybody think about it for a moment while I put some wood on the fire because I'm freezing. Krishna, 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 Krishna. Okay. Surely everybody is enjoying this verse. But hold on. Abdullah is going to join us. Is there a password for this Bhagavatam class? He's trying to get in, but he's asking, what is the passcode?
068255, I believe.
Thank you so much, Jambavati Mataji. So, by associating with persons for whom the Supreme Personality of Godhead Mukunda is the all in all, one can hear of his powerful activities. So here, the importance of sadhusanga is explicitly declared. That by sadhusanga you hear and chant about Krishna. It's not just that you get in that picture. First time I traveled with my spiritual master to Los Angeles, I was a brahmachari in New Zealand, and he took me with him to California and to Mexico and to Canada. And, you know, everyone's like trying to get near him and taking pictures. And I would like sneak up to the side and try to get into the pictures, make sure everyone knew who I was with. But that's not sadhusanga. Sadhusanga is hearing about Krishna. And if you're with pure devotees, then naturally you're going to hear about Krishna. That's all they're interested in. That's all they talk about. So we should check. Am I really getting sadhusanga? When I come together with devotees, do I hear and chant about Krishna? Do I inquire about devotional service? Do I reveal the mind and confidence about the challenges I may have in devotional service? And ask questions about how to improve in devotional service? That's what it means to associate with the sadhu, to hear. And therefore, in this verse, it says, by associating with persons for whom the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Mukunda, is the all in all, one can hear of his powerful activities and soon come to understand. And if one does not hear of the powerful activities of the Lord, how can we understand the Lord? And certainly, how can we become attracted in the heart? Therefore, the hearing is the most crucial. In fact, it's the most significant part of a relationship. Not just the relationship with the Lord, but any relationship. The most crucial part is the hearing. As is stated also in the first canto, second chapter, a lot of amazing verses there. It's stated that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Lord, who has no material form, takes the form of sound so that we can always be in his association. Prabhupada makes clear in that purport that any relationship that is audible persists, even if everything else isn't there. You can have a relationship with someone on the other side of the world as long as you're hearing, talking, speaking. The communication is the essence of the relationship, not the physical proximity. So therefore, in the association of devotees, we are always hearing about Krishna, his name, his form, his qualities, his pastimes. And then naturally, love of God awakens in the heart. That we've seen millions and millions of times. When a person has chanted the holy names of the Lord, they've tasted prasadam, and then they begin to hear the name, form, quality, and pastimes of the Lord. But naturally, love awakens in the heart. It does not require some sort of philosophical justification. It does not even require a huge institutional organization. It doesn't require anything but contact with the Lord's pure devotee. Just so happens that in the institution, you have the fortunate opportunity to come in contact with so many pure devotees. So this is the sum and substance, Srila Prabhupada says at the end of this purport. The sum and substance of the Krishna consciousness movement is to give everyone a chance to hear about the Supreme Lord. That's our function. That's our purpose. How can we give everyone a chance to hear? When we've understood the potency of hearing about Krishna, when we've been affected by the potency of hearing about Krishna, when our life has been changed irrevocably, as we heard, then naturally we'll want to share that with others. That's the natural result of hearing and chanting. Go from japa, chanting, to kirtan, congregational chanting, and when that love of God in the heart expands so much that it cannot even be contained within the heart, then naturally you've got to share it with others, and that's sankirtan. Kirtan fills up the heart with love of God, and sankirtan is sharing that excess that's bursting out. So when we understand the potency of hearing and chanting, its potential to cleanse the mind and heart of all contamination, then we'll make that available to everyone. And in this verse, a comparison is made even with the glorious service of visiting the holy Dham. I'll just read again for Abdullah, who just came in. At the end of this verse we're reading, it says, of course, it's saying that we should hear and chant about Krishna. And then at the end of the verse, it says, on the other hand, although bathing in the Ganges diminishes bodily contaminations and infections, this process and the process of visiting holy places can cleanse the heart only after a long time. Yes, we can make a comparison. There are generally 5 significant processes of bhakti that we glorify: chanting, hearing, chanting, associating with devotees, visiting, residing in a holy place, and hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Wait, what were they? Worshipping the deity, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, residing in a holy place, associating with devotees, and hearing Srimad
Taking
Bhagavatam.
prasad.
Taking prasadam. Is that one of the 5? Rupa Goswami described it. Now it's slipping my mind. Certainly prasadam is very important. But the comparison can be made that hearing and chanting about Krishna is actually the most important, more important even than visiting the holy Dham, more important even than worshiping the deity. It's the hearing and chanting. In fact, even worshiping the deity, the whole purpose is so that we can hear and chant together. This is described by Srila Prabhupada in his purports to the Adi Lila, chapter 7, Chaitanya Charitamrita, where he says that actually chanting the holy names of the Lord does not require anything else. It doesn't require anything else. But because we spent many lifetimes in Maya, we've got all sorts of material contamination in our heart. We've got all sorts of bondage that we're struggling with. Sanatana Goswami has therefore declared that we require the process of initiation and we require the service to the deity so that we can remain focused on hearing and chanting. So what Prabhupada says, Adi Lila chapter 7. I can't think of the exact verse number right now, but it's somewhere amongst those verses where it says about chanting the holy names. The holy name doesn't require anything else. But because we have so much material contamination, because we have so many bad habits stemming from previous lifetimes, we require initiation into the parampara. We require engagement in devotional service to the deity so that we can come together and chant Hare Krishna. That's the point. That's the whole point. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Eva Kevalam, Kalo Nastyeva, Nastyeva, Nastyeva Gatir Nyata. You have to recognize this is everything. Let me share one more verse from the Adi Lila, chapter 7, and then I'm going to talk about Sankirtan. Lord Chaitanya, in speaking with the Mayavadi sannyasis headed by Prakashananda Saraswati, also wanted to make clear, what is the power of this chanting of the holy names? They saw Lord Chaitanya dancing in the streets like a crazy person with all of these devotees who were not, by superficial estimation, they were not at the high standard of the Mayavadi sannyasis. You know, these sannyasis were highly qualified in their renunciation, in their scriptural study, in their self-control, in their philosophical speculation. They were so highly qualified. But then here's Lord Chaitanya, who's also sannyasi. But what is he doing? He's singing and he's dancing with low-class people. Class people, but those people had love of God in their hearts. They would sing and dance in this way. So these Mayavadi sannyasis, they would criticize Lord Chaitanya. What are you doing? This is not appropriate for a sannyasi. Why do you do this? And Lord Chaitanya very, very kindly answered to them. He said, my spiritual master told me that I'm a fool. I'm not qualified to sit here and study Vedanta with all of you. He told me to just chant Hare Krishna, which is the essence of all mantras. Murka tumi toma nahik Vedanta adhikara Krishna mantra japasada, a mantra sa. You're a fool, he said. You're not qualified to study Vedanta philosophy, and therefore you must always chant the holy name of Krishna. This is the essence of all mantras or Vedic hymns. Krishna mantra hoite habe samsara mochana. Krishna nama hoite pabe Krishna racharana. This is what Lord Chaitanya's guru, his spiritual master, was telling him, Lord Chaitanya. Simply by chanting the holy name of Krishna, one can obtain freedom from material existence. Excuse me. Indeed, simply by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, one will be able to see the lotus feet of the Lord. This is a very significant statement, especially in the context of Lord Chaitanya telling this to Prakashananda Saraswati and the Mayavadi sannyasis, for whom their whole meditation is how to get freedom from material existence. Mukti, liberation from bondage. That is the goal of the impersonalists. Lord Chaitanya says that's the side effect of chanting Hare Krishna. That's the side effect. Dear devotees, look at our own lives. We can see that to be true. The side effect of chanting Hare Krishna is that we become detached, liberated from material existence, uninterested, unentangled, just done. What is the real effect of chanting the holy names? Simply by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, one will be able to see the lotus feet of the Lord. One comes in contact with the Supreme Personality of God. Anyway, this Adi Lila chapter 7 is just so amazing. There it said, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama Eva Kevalam. So many wonderful, important verses for us to contemplate here so we can really appreciate that really, at the end of the day, it's just chanting. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Ram. And even in comparison with the other activities of attaining devotional service, chanting the Lord's holy names is superlative. If we've understood that as described in this verse, then of course we'll try to share this. Of course. That's why Srila Prabhupada says in this purport, everyone should be induced to chant the holy names of the Lord. Where did he say it? Hold on. Everyone, here it is. He says, therefore, the great saints in the devotional line very strongly recommend the process of hearing. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu introduced the congregational chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra to give everyone a chance to hear Krishna's holy name. For simply by hearing Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, one becomes purified. Therefore, our Krishna consciousness movement is chiefly engaged in chanting the Hare Krishna mantra all over the world. If we're really convinced of the power of Krishna's holy name, we're really convinced of its transformative potency, then we will try to give it to everyone, not just those who are inclined towards it, namely
Indian-bodied Hindus, if I may be a bit more explicit. That's the low-hanging fruit. You go to pick fruit from a tree, you got the fruits that's hanging low. It's easy to just, I'll just get the easy fruit. Why reach all the way to the top? Let me just grab this one here. That's not what Prabhupada says here. He says everyone. I mean, we can look up in the Webster's Dictionary, Oxford Dictionary, whichever one you like. But it seems to me that everyone means everyone. So what are we doing to make the holy names of Krishna available to everyone? Prabhupada says this is what we're chiefly engaged in chanting the Hare Krishna mantra all over the world. There's no doubt that inducing non-Indian, non-Hindu people to chant the holy names is a bit more tricky. It's a bit more challenging because Western people especially are just woo all over the place. And the young Western people, I mean, some of you have heard the news, and the truth is even more wild. It's just, there's a lot of confusion, there's a lot of distress, there's a lot of pain, there's a lot of suffering. And that's why they need it even more. That's why they need it even more. And so it is our chief purpose, as Prabhupada says in this purport, to make those holy names available to anyone and everyone all over the world. So we should be racking our brains 24/7. How can we do this? How can we make other people chant Hare Krishna? How can we get them to hear the holy names of the Lord, to appreciate, to chant them, and then to hear more about Krishna's form, qualities, and pastimes? How can we make that happen? If we're always thinking about this, then the Lord will bless us with the ability. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam gena mamupayantite. If we really have that strong desire to serve Krishna in this way, he gives the intelligence by which it is possible. Dear devotees, I've personally experienced this 1,000 times. And I'm trying to talk to someone, trying to tell them about Krishna, and I have no idea what to say. Literally, just nothing up in my brain space. Empty, useless organ in my skull. But I just prayed to Krishna, Lord, you are the well-wisher of all living beings, and this person who I'm trying to communicate with is your part and parcel. If you so desire, somehow something can be said so that they remember you and love for you. And then, boom, it just happens. This is the miracle of Krishna consciousness. If we have a strong desire for really thinking how to serve Krishna in this way, how to make Krishna consciousness available to others, then the inspiration comes. There's no doubt about that. And that's a powerful experience. That's Sankirtan. Sankirtan. When the love of Krishna has overflown from the heart, there's so much that you just got to give it to somebody else. That's the Sankirtan. So let's contemplate deeply the potency of chanting Krishna's names. Let's have a lot of faith in what it can do to a person. We should have a lot of faith. All you got to do is look in the mirror. None of us in this room were born into it. We weren't born this way, as that pop star says. Somehow, someone has shown us that chanting the holy names of the Lord is the best means to contact the Lord in this age of Kali. And there are many means, and they're all valid. In our Krishna consciousness community, of course, we appreciate all the religious traditions of the world, all the genuine ones. The genuine ones are the ones, of course, who accept God as the supreme controller. Everyone's right. But not everyone has the same spiritual assets like we do. Let's appreciate this. Let's appreciate how wonderful are our spiritual assets. All assets are wonderful, valuable, but ours are especially wonderful. The holy name of Krishna is the most intimate form of address to the Lord. It's the most intimate. We can refer to the Lord as the greatest, as the all-powerful, as the origin of everything, as the super soul, as the sum total. But the most intimate way to address the Lord is the name Krishna, because that's the name that Yashoda Mai uses. That's the name that Radharani uses. And therefore it's most pleasing to the Lord. The most intimate form of address is Krishna, Rama. And even by chanting Hare, we're referring to confidential understanding of the Lord's internal pleasure potency, his energy, his Shakti, Srimati Radharani. There's no more intimate form of address than this. So every name of the Lord that's chanted is wonderful and powerful and glorious. But chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Rama is especially intimate and special. And every scripture, of course, is filled with important transcendental knowledge. But we make a comparative study and we can see only the literatures produced by Srila Prabhupada, especially his translation and his commentary, emphasizes pure devotion on every page. That's our unique asset in ISKCON, Srila Prabhupada's books. Pure devotion is emphasized on every single page. Every page, pure devotion. Anya vilashita shunyam jnana karmadinavitam anukulyena krishna anushilanam bhaktirutam. Pure devotional service is free from any material desire, not covered or mixed with any desire for karma, jnana, fruit of activity or philosophical speculation. And that service which is rendered so favorably unto the Lord Krishna, that's pure devotional service. Dear devotees, we're just swimming in it. You just look around you. There's pure devotional service happening all the time. Anytime we're in the association of devotees, you can see pure devotional service happening all the time. So our fortune is immeasurable. Immeasurable. It's incomparable to anything in this world. And when we've appreciated that fortune, naturally, you want to give it to somebody else. Naturally. Naturally. This is how we preach to non-Indian people. It's not so much some technique. It's not so much some clever mechanism. It's just recognizing how the holy name of Krishna has transformed me, and therefore I know it can transform others as well. It's not, will it, maybe, I'm not so sure. No, I know 100%, 108% can transform anybody. Even the Chinese. I'm not trying to be racist, but the Chinese are the tricky demographic. Nandini and I've been trying for a long time. In Sydney, she was taking Mandarin language in university just so that we could do a little Chinese sangha in Sydney. There's so many, of course, Chinese students there. So we'd had a little Chinese sangha. There's this other Australian girl devotee who speaks Chinese. And we made this little sangha. We were doing it at our apartment every once in a while, trying to preach to these Chinese kids. That's really the most difficult. No offense, Abdullah, but it's not actually the Muslims because they've got a lot of love of God in their heart. Chinese, wow. They don't even have a word for God because of the communism. It's like outlawed. So we've seen even Chinese students come along and they're chanting. They'll chant and take it in their heart and they're really affected by it. And that's why we know that there's some underground secret Chinese Sangha going on in mainland China. Believe it? In mainland China. Just yesterday, we were visiting Stuart, who was an immigrant from China, a student here. And he was testifying that he knows of these communities. Very, very secretive, of course, because you can get in a lot of trouble over there for doing that. But it just goes to show that it doesn't depend on any superficial qualification. Just that one has come in contact with a devotee who cares enough to try to share Krishna consciousness with them. I'm saying, my dear Prabhus, it's not just some clever arrangement. It's not just some trickery. It's really not the facility even. Do we have this sort of space, or does it look like this? Is it decorated in that way? Or what sort of music are you playing? Or food are you serving? Prasadam that you're serving? Really, it's just that a devotee feels the overwhelming influence of the holy names of the Lord within their heart, and they just have to give it to somebody else. That's what affects the hearts of others. That's the essence of Sankirtan, And therefore, Lord Chaitanya says, my last point from this Adi Lila chapter 7, therefore, Lord Chaitanya says to Prakashananda Saraswati Thakur that he would chant the holy names of the Lord in pure ecstasy, and thus he would lose himself. Let me just read this. He says, while chanting the holy name of the Lord in pure ecstasy, I lose myself, and thus I laugh, cry, dance, and sing just like a madman. Collecting my patience, therefore, I began to consider that chanting the holy name of Krishna had covered all my spiritual knowledge. I saw that I'd become mad chanting the holy name, and I immediately submitted this at the lotus feet of my spiritual master, saying, my dear Lord, what kind of mantra have you given me? I have become mad simply by chanting this Maha mantra. Chanting the holy name in ecstasy causes me to dance, laugh, and cry. When my spiritual master heard all of this, he smiled and then began to speak. One more verse. Krishna nama mahamantrer etas vabhava, ye japatare Krishna upajaye bhava. This is Lord Chaitanya's spiritual master, Ishvar Chandrapuri, telling him, it is the nature of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. It's its nature. This is the nature of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, that anyone who chants it immediately develops his loving ecstasy for Krishna. Upajaya Bhava. Anyone who chants immediately develops his loving ecstasy for Krishna. So do we have faith in that? Do we have faith in that? If we do, then as Prabhupada says, the sum and substance of the Krishna consciousness movement is to give everyone a chance to hear about the Supreme. Hearing, chanting, chanting, chanting. That's the sum and the substance. The sum means the total of everything, right? That's the totality. Take everything that we're doing. And what is it for? For getting everyone a chance to hear chant about Krishna. That's the total, the sum. Why does it say in this verse, Nashta prayeshva bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya? Prayesh, okay. I'm sorry, I'm getting too excited here. I'm going off on this tangent, but bear with me. In the purport, this verse, Nashta prayeshva bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya. By regularly hearing the Bhagavatam and rendering service unto the pure devotee, almost all that is troublesome to the heart is practically destroyed. Why does it say that? Nashta prayeshva bhadreshu. Praya means like mostly. Why is mostly everything that's troubling the heart destroyed? Why doesn't it just say completely, everything, 100%? Because we must share with others. It's the difference between the Bhajananandi and the Goshtinandi. If one just sits down and hears Srimad Bhagavatam, chants the holy name of the Lord, almost all that is troublesome to the heart will be completely destroyed. But in this age of Kali, one must share the holy names with others. That's why Prabhupada says it's the sum of everything. What is the purpose of decorating the deity so nicely? So that we can be inspired to chant the holy names together in congregation. What is the purpose of the farm community? Dasi Prem is asking. So that we can demonstrate a lifestyle most conducive to chanting the holy names together. What's the purpose of the book distribution? So that when people open the book, they will see the holy name of Krishna, chant his names. That's the sum. Everything is meant for that purpose, to chant the holy names of the Lord and induce others to chant the holy names of the Lord. And it is the substance. Practically speaking, if we give up on Sankirtana, then we lose a lot of substance. And that has been seen as well, without singling out any particular community or historical period. But when the mission of Sankirtan goes by the wayside, then so much substance is lost. And devotees' faith can be diminished. More problems can arise. I don't want to criticize anyone, but we see time and time again, we must maintain the substance of Krishna consciousness, which is to give love of God to others. Since we've already been given so much ourselves, we must give love of God to others. As is Prabhupada's words. This is Prabhupada's words. He says this is the sum and substance of Krishna consciousness. that everyone be given a chance to hear about the Supreme Lord. Hare Krishna. And so, to that end, let us try our best. That's all you can do, is try your best. That's all I have to say on these points here. Ask any of the devotees if they have any comments or questions they'd like to add. Sorry, I get a little overwhelmed sometimes just thinking about chanting Hare Krishna. It gets me kind of worked up. But it's just so nice. It's just so nice to chant with the devotees and chant with the non-devotees. It's got its own special flavor. Jagannath Pandit Prabhu knows what I'm talking about. Keeps entering and exiting. Maybe his internet connection is down a bit, but we had such a wonderful kirtan Thursday with at the Bhakti Yoga Center. Everybody's just up and dancing and just totally off the mental platform, just appreciating the holy names of the Lord. And you know, when you see that, you just can't help but dedicate your whole life to that. So come and help us out, actually. If you have the time, come and help us out. Leela Kishori Mataji has been helping out so much. We appreciate her for that. And so many other devotees. And Ajamil Prabhu, he's going to be helping us for the rest of this semester. We're just so appreciative because it's just so wonderful. How do you
Can I come? Yes, sir. I'm around the corner.
You come?
Yeah.
You're around the corner in America?
Yeah.
I wish.
No, I wish.
You know who really chants like a madman, dear devotees? Is this guy, Abdullah. Wow, I should send you all some video. When Abdullah chants, he doesn't do quiet chant. He doesn't do that meditative, warm-up chanting. He goes straight to blast off rocket ship chanting. Miss you, Kirtan, so.
I only learned from the best and those from Gita Nagari. But I did want to comment on what you're saying, Yaso. So beautifully put, so beautifully said about the power of hearing, Sarvanam. And we were discussing this yesterday when Krishna was saying Arjuna, now hear, just hear. And I guess the power of that is just satsang and the association that even here, although we are in distance by 5,000 miles, I still get to hear an association, the words of what you're saying and what other devotees are saying. And just yesterday, we were in association with devotees and we were just hearing from each other the words of Krishna.
Mm.
So that's the purity of it. It's so powerful. And people think if Prabhupada is not physically present, then we're lost.
In Saudi. Hold on, let me just interrupt, dear devotees. Abdullah's talking about in Saudi Arabia. The devotees are getting together to hear and chant.
Yeah.
It's significant.
Yeah, it's the power of hearing. And even if our spiritual master is not physically present, Prabhupada says, I'm still with you through hearing, and through his books, but through hearing most of all. I mean, that's the strongest thing that we have now, which is just eternal. It's the sound of the holy name.
Mm.
So that's why I'm here, present today. And that's another extension of what you did, Yaso. And then, of course, I'm eternally thankful for that.
I didn't do anything. It's just the holy names. It's just the holy names of Krishna. They do everything. That's why Lord Chaitanya was saying, it's not me. When I'm singing and dancing, when I'm rolling around like a mad person, when I'm feeling the ecstasy of love of God, he said, it's not anything I'm doing. It's the holy name of Krishna causes this to happen. Ye japatari Krishna upajaya bhava. It's just the nature of the holy name of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra that anyone who chants it immediately develops loving ecstasy for Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol. So let us chant confidently, with enthusiasm, appreciating the holy name, remembering the transformative power. We've been devotees for a couple of years. We might forget just how messed up we were before coming in contact with the Lord and his pure devotees. We might forget that we were just a walking catastrophe. And if we remember how the power of the holy names has transformed the heart, then we'll have so much confidence to share with others as well. So let's not forget. Let's take stock of that potency. It's scientific. It's measurable. And then we can share with others. Oh, Jamil Prabhu. Guten Tag. Guten Morgen. Back to Abe. I don't believe it.
Hare Krishna. I just listened to the last bit of class about the holy name, and I was wondering, there's when you listen to these japa seminars and seminars and stuff, you hear. I remember one quote Bhaktisiddhanta said is that chanting is not lip deep; it's heart deep. So I'm wondering, and I've also heard from Andrew Prabhu that at a certain time, that is when the holy name descends on you. It's not that, the holy name is there, but you need to be certainly qualified to chant Shuddhanam and different things like that. So I'm wondering, is Krishna, so the first question is Krishna fully present in his name even when we're chanting Nam Abhas or Nam Aparad? And then the next question would be, what mood should we have when we're praying while chanting? How do we entice Krishna and Srimati Radharani to come down and grace us with their presence in the holy name?
Wow, Abe, don't give us a difficult question. Abe, he's such a Rasika Bhakta. It's all about the flavors, the moods of Bhakti. I love it. Krishna is always fully present in his holy name, but we might not be qualified to perceive. It says in the Purana, Nama Chintamani Krishnas Chaitanya Rasa Vigraham Purna Shuddha Nitya Mukta Vinatva Nama Nama. The holy name of Krishna is not different from Krishna. It's Nitya Mukta. It's always liberated. It's never like, well, it's 50%, it's 80%. It's always non-different from Krishna. But, just like a person affected by the disease of jaundice, we can't taste the sweetness there. We can't perceive the value there. We're like a child given a valuable gem. They don't know what's the value, some rubies or something. They'll flush it down the toilet or eat it or something. So similarly, we're like, we don't appreciate how Krishna is fully present in his holy name all the time. Nitya Mukta, Shuddha, it's always pure, eternally liberated. It's never like kind of there, maybe sort of. It's only, do we have the eyes, the devotional sentiment to perceive Krishna there? Lord Brahma says that Krishna is perceived in the pure heart. The verse, I can't remember. The one from Brahma Samhita, when the heart is pure, one always sees Krishna within the heart. Santa Sadaiva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti Yam Shama Sundaram Achintya Guna Svarupa. It's inconceivable, his form, yet he's always there in the holy name, and we can perceive him in the heart if we are pure. So that's the answer to your first question. And what is the mood that we should be chanting the holy names? We should chant with the mood of begging for devotional service. Anytime we approach the Lord, and until we're like really way up there, we should follow in the footsteps of the devotees and their mood. This is described in the Nectar of Devotion. That's why we read the Nectar of Devotion, so that when we become purified of material contamination, we can relate to, feel attracted to a particular mood and devotion, and then following in the footsteps of that devotee, serve Krishna in the exact same way. This is described by Rupa Goswami in both his Nectar of Instruction and Nectar of Devotion. Tishtan vraje, when one's totally purified of material contamination in a liberated state, one can follow in the footsteps of the residents of Vrindavan and serve Krishna in that exact same mood. When you read Nectar of Devotion, all the different bhavas, all the different moods, the rasas, eventually, after some years of chanting and devotional service, we should find ourselves being attracted to a particular mood. Serving Krishna, either in the Sakya Rasa, the Vatsalya Rasa, the Madhurya Rasa, the Dasya Rasa. It's natural that we become attracted to it and serving the Lord in a particular mood. We can't rush that sort of thing. We don't want to imitate and pretend to do it sooner than we should, but there will be a natural attraction to serving the Lord in a particular mood. And then we follow in the footsteps of those devotees, hearing and chanting about their interactions with the Lord, reciting the same verses, the same prayers that they've recited. But until we're there, our mood should just be begging for devotional service. That's what Srila Prabhupada said. When we're chanting Hare Krishna, we're begging, please, let me do some service for you. And then it becomes a reciprocal feedback loop. Let me do some service for you, Lord. That's what we're begging for when we're chanting. And then when that service comes up, we should do it. Do some service. And then the Lord reciprocates by giving us more ecstasy and chanting. And then we pray for more. Let me have more service for you, Lord. And this way we go back and forth, back and forth. The ecstasy is always increasing, even for Srimati Radharani and Goloka Vrindavan, the ecstasy is always increasing. So that should be our mood until we're in a liberated state when our Siddha Swarupa becomes clear, and then we can cultivate a very specific mood like the residents of Vrindavan. But until then, we should just be begging for devotional service. What service can I do for you, Lord? How can I share Krishna consciousness with others? That's all I know. I'm not qualified to say any more than that. Anything else about moods is over my head. I'm just like trying to follow four regular principles. You know what I mean?
When you get to the Siddha Swarup stage and the liberated stage you're talking about, it seems to me that you still. Sorry, I'm talking to that. Seems to me you're still begging for devotional service. So does that continue? What is it? What is it like at the liberated stage?
Right. So that's why Prabhupada wanted us to beg for devotional service, because that is universal. Even amongst the gopis of Vrindavan, they're begging for devotional service. Even Nanda Maharaj, feeling like the father of Krishna, still he's begging for devotional service. He says it to Uddhava when Uddhava visits Vrindavan. It's a really amazing chapter. The multifarious things going on. First of all, Krishna is teaching Uddhava what is the highest standard of devotion. Because Uddhava is so close to Krishna, even he was thinking in Dwarka, he looks like Krishna. That's how dear he is to Krishna. He looks exactly like Krishna. But still Krishna's like, let me show you what bhakti really looks like. So he sends Uddhava on this mission to deliver a message to Vrindavan so that he can see. And he's like, wow, the bhakti here is just off the charts. I thought I was way up there. So, and then he's there, he delivers the message to the gopis, he sees the madness of Srimati Radharani, and then as he's leaving Vrindavan, even Nanda Maharaj says to Uddhava, first Uddhava says to Nanda Maharaj, like, wow, Krishna is God, and you have such an intimate relationship with God like this. And Nanda Maharaj is like, okay, you tell your Lord Krishna that, he might be your Lord, he might be God to you, but he's just our son. So you tell your Lord Krishna to come back so that we can do some service for him. Even Nanda Maharaj is begging for service. Yashoda Mai is begging for service. So that mood is universal. The specifics of the rasa, whether it's friendly or servitude or parental love or conjugal love, that comes later. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that as we continue to chant and become purified, it is in the kirtan with the devotees that we will remember our svarupa. What is our natural bhava? We'll remember our particular mood in loving service to Krishna. He says, then in chanting japa, you can cultivate that mood in your personal time with Krishna. I was just hearing Devamrita Swami talking about it yesterday from his year-end retreat in New Zealand, the difference between japa and kirtan. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said this. In the kirtan with the devotees, we'll get some idea, some remembrance of what our eternal form is in service to the Lord. And in japa, we can continue to cultivate that, following that mood, making it more prominent until it is fully realized. I don't understand anything more beyond that. Maybe some of the other devotees do understand more beyond that, would like to add something. Ajamil Prabhu, I know he's a lover of the holy name.
The only thing that I understand is that my heart is lifted when I'm with the devotees. And I don't feel that same way when I'm not with devotees. So I'm constantly hankering after that good feeling with devotees, or that Ras, that mood. So that's all I know.
That's all I know. We'll finish with this one more story about all I know. There was this one devotee who used to come to Lord Chaitanya and his associates, and he was like really proud of himself, and he thought that he was really smart, and he always had commentary on the Bhagavatam. What was his name? We were reading about it in our Chaitanya Charitamrita class. I can't remember his name now, but he would come and he'd say, I've got a different commentary on Bhagavatam. It doesn't even touch the commentary of Sridhar Swami. And then Lord Chaitanya said to him, anyone who doesn't accept the Swami, I consider to be a prostitute. He kind of like put this guy in his place. And then later he came back and he was telling the devotees not to chant the holy names. He's saying we should not chant Krishna's name, just like a chaste wife does not say the name of her husband. And then he's like, he tried like all this comedy, like his own interpretation of the holy name of Krishna. And Lord Chaitanya and his associates were just like tired of this guy. They're like, we need to shut him up. And so Lord Chaitanya said in response to him and his interpretations of what Krishna means, Lord Chaitanya said, all I know is that Krishna is Shama Sundar, he has a beautiful blackish form, and Sri Yashoda Stanande, he sucks upon the breast of Mother Yashoda. Lord Chaitanya said, that's all I know. That's all I know. In other words, I don't want to hear your ridiculous speculations and whatever clever idea you have in mind. All I know is that he's this beautiful form, this beautiful cowherd boy, the son of Mother Yashoda. So just in keeping with what you're saying, Ajami Prabhu, just keeping it simple is the best way to go. Even Lord Chaitanya does it. All I know is that he's the son of Mother Yashoda. I don't know anything. This is how Lord Chaitanya says. All right, we are over time, which means I'm going to start getting charged for this. Dear devotees, thank you for tuning in this morning and participating in Srimad Bhagavatam class. And please forgive me if I'm a little bit too gung-ho sometimes. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bo.